So are Democrats planning a convention coup of Joe Biden? This is now a serious question that we need to discuss. This was unthinkable like a month ago, unthinkable like 3 weeks ago, right? But now it's in the realm of possibility that Democrats are going to plan a convention coup of Joe Biden. So this is a very notable tweet here, a couple tweets here from Congressman Brad Sherman. So he comes out and says the following. He's a Democrat. I look forward to seeing President Biden's taped interview with George Stephanopoulos. More on that in a second. I'm going to show you that interview, and I'm going to break down for you the tsunami of Democrats who have now come out against Biden. But he says, I look forward to seeing President Biden's taped interview with George Stephanopoulos. It's important that the president also have an extended live interview as soon as possible. In other words, he's like, we're not buying that you're really cognitively all there. You really have to prove it to us, because right now, it looks like the opposite is true. Counter to popular belief, the rules of the Democratic Party do not require that pledged delegates vote for Biden at the convention. Party rules require delegates' votes reflect, quote, reflect the sentiments of those who elected them at the time the delegates cast their ballots. Democratic primary voters have one overarching sentiment. We need a candidate who will beat Donald Trump. In other words, what he's saying is, to put it in layman's terms, pledged delegates are not actually pledged to you. And we can do whatever the fuck we want with them. And if we decide we think it's impossible for you to beat Donald Trump, your ass is going gonzies. That's what he's saying. Okay, now I have a lot of thoughts about this, man. I don't like that precedent. I really don't. To say that pledged delegates aren't pledged, it's not that hard to imagine a scenario where an actual lefty wins a primary, and then what? The party elites can get together and say, well, since we don't think this person can beat the Republican, even if they have the best chance of beating the Republican, we don't think they can. Therefore, sorry, we're just going to override the will of the voters and put in this more centrist establishment candidate, this more corporate candidate, because we prefer them. So I don't like this precedent. Back when it was Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton was ahead, everybody and their mothers, no, pledged delegates are pledged. They're pledged. They're pledged. They're pledged. They can't change it. You can't have a contested convention. What are we talking about here? Don't be silly. But now we're looking at a scenario where, and look, to be fair to them, it's true that I think their concern is genuinely like, his brain's not working. We think he's guaranteed to lose, and so we need to act. I understand that. But guys, this all should have been considered when the media and the establishment Democrats and the donors coalesced to crush a primary against Biden. See, that's the thing. It's like they rigged it up front for Biden by crushing the prospect of a primary. And then now, like, the chickens are coming home to roost because they realize they made a mistake, and now they need to double rig it in order to, like, try to get out of this scot-free. Look, I'm not saying I don't think Biden should step down. I think he should step down. But, I mean, I think the way to do that at this point is he needs to be convinced, you got to go, bro. He's got to come out on his own volition and say, all right, you guys are right. I can see the plummeting polls. I could see my 37% favorability rating. I can see that we're in a very, very bad place right now. And I know it seems impossible, and maybe it is, to convince Biden of that. But if it just goes to a convention and they just steal it, then they are saying we can always override the will of voters if we so please. Now, by the way, it's different in this scenario because was Biden really the will of the voters? Well, I just told you. The establishment Democrats, the moneyed interests, and the media, they basically rigged the primary. Literally, North Carolina and Florida and one other state, I think, just canceled their primary and said there is no primary, right? In New Hampshire, there was that big fight about who goes first, South Carolina or New Hampshire. And at the same time, the Biden team tried to say the New Hampshire vote doesn't count. They also were telling people to write him in. Like, they pulled so many Weasley tricks, and the media treated all of his opponents as just a laughing stock and a clown show. Marianne didn't get a fair shot. Even Dean Phillips didn't get a fair shot. Of course, Cenk Uygur didn't get a fair shot. So again, they rigged the primary up front. They ushered him through. They just anointed him. And then now they're realizing, hey, that was a mistake. So because their prior rigging didn't work out for them, now they're saying, well, let's rig it again, at the convention. No, if he's going to go, I'm sorry, but I really think it's got to be Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Jill Biden, his staffers, the entire, like, okay, what happens in a scenario where the entire Democratic caucus, we get 100% of them, they come out and they say, look, man, you're done here. You're done here. There's no hope. The numbers are too low. Now you're affecting our down ballot races. We're just not going to stand for it. In a scenario like that, is it possible he's just still bull in a china shop and he goes ahead at 100 miles an hour? It's possible, but you have to imagine there is some tipping point, right? If you lose the media, all of your big money corporate donors, and the entire party establishment, I mean, how long can you last in that scenario? Because then it also becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy too, and your polls go down because of your poor performance and your bad brain, and then they also in turn go down because the rest of the party establishment is now dumping on you 24/7, right? So I would rather see it go like that than have it be the case that at the convention, they effectively say pledged delegates aren't pledged because we say so. Because again, then in the future, I guarantee you that would be used in way more nefarious ways than this. This way, it's only semi-nefarious, right? Because they rigged it up front, and now they're just trying to double rig it to undo the previous rigging because the guy's so old that he's sundowning, right? So, but in the future, I could totally see them breaking this out for, maybe some good lefty candidate wins the primary, right? Maybe it's a Tim Walz wins the Democratic primary, and, he's got politics like Bernie Sanders or to the left of Bernie Sanders. And they go, yeah, we think you're too far left and you're an electoral liability, even though you're not. So we're just going to go ahead and switch you out for, whatever, fill in the blank with some corporate Democrat hack. So I really, really don't like that precedent. That being said, I do want him to step down. It's just got to be done in a way where it doesn't get all the way to the convention and we pretend like pledged delegates aren't actually pledged, right? And it's also kind of ironic to say, we need to save democracy. Us Democrats need to save democracy. And in order to do that, we rigged the primary for Joe Biden, and then we double rigged it and kicked Joe Biden off at the at the convention and just picked some other person who we wanted, insider party elites. I don't like that. I don't like that. All this stuff is uncharted territory. But the fact that a Democrat is coming out and saying this is a big deal. Because if he's saying it, that means there are conversations behind the scenes. It's not just him. It's him and Lord knows how many other Democratic congresspeople who are like, his poor performance is affecting me. Maybe we will press the red button, do the nuclear option, and even at the convention say, pledged delegates aren't pledged, we're going to pick somebody else. So, again, uncharted territory here. Wild stuff. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.